world now, both YouTube and Facebook. Subbarao garu, you're passing comments first.
Yeah.
భాస్కర్ రెడ్డి గారు అది అక్కడ మీరు మ్యూట్ చేసుకోవాలి.
Welcome to the series of webinars democracy, and I thank all the participants
భాస్కర్ రెడ్డి గారు మ్యూట్ చేసుకోండి ప్లీజ్.
continuously giving us the encouragement. And today we have Dr. Reddy, who did detailed and in-depth studies in municipal institutions way back in 20 years, something 2000. And also he was doing right from his young days in the university. You know, even today, they don't show and their core capacities in any given area of their services or deliveries. Without taking much time.
భాస్కర్ రెడ్డి గారు భాస్కర్ రెడ్డి గారు మ్యూట్ చేసుకోండి. భాస్కర్ రెడ్డి గారు ప్లీజ్.
సార్ మ్యూట్
సౌండ్ ఒక్కటి బంద్ చేయండి భాస్కర్ రెడ్డి గారు. సౌండ్ ఒక్కటి.
as well as the video for some time, please. Okay.
Video mute చేయమంటారు.
I just shared the screen to you. I welcome Dr. Narasimha Reddy to make his presentation on municipal institutions in Hyderabad and challenges and performance. How do we monitor their performance? Now the floor is yours, Dr. Narasimha Reddy.
Thank you, Subbarao garu. How much time do I have?
You have plenty of time. You are the key speaker. You can go up to 40 minutes, half an hour. Please.
Okay. You can, warn me if I am exceeding the time because.
No. I monitor the time. Don't worry about it.
I think these elections, GHMC elections have, even before also, lot of issues have come up. But even in 2016, they were there, but they were never discussed. And in 2020, when we are facing Corona, where we think it has, led to climate change or the consequence of climate change, I think a lot more issues which are not being discussed. And meanwhile, we are seeing deterioration of institutions in terms of governance. I think I'll try to raise some of the issues, and we can have భాస్కర్ రెడ్డి గారు మీది మ్యూట్ పెట్టండి, లేకుంటే మధ్యలో డిస్టర్బెన్స్ వస్తుంది. మ్యూట్ పెట్టండి, మ్యూట్ చేసేయండి.
Thank you.
మనం కొన్ని I think we'll discuss some of the critical areas which we'll try to raise, and then we can discuss in detail later. When we are talking about Hyderabad, I think it is always related to the kind of development which is going across the state. It's not just about Hyderabad. Even before Telangana agitation, I think that was the discussion where the growth was focused only on Hyderabad and not across the state. So I think we need to always keep in mind the interaction or transaction between state development and Hyderabad city development. And second, I think this is being highlighted by KTR repeatedly for the past 3-4 days. He says Telangana has contributed 2.7 crores of taxes to union government, and we got back less than 1.4 crores. And most of the 2.7 crores has been generated by Hyderabad. So again, we are talking of Hyderabad-centric development, where GDP and economic growth is concentrated. So I think we need to again discuss how this tax devolution is happening. That's another issue. Third is employment. I think Hyderabad, there is a lot of underemployment. I think that has never been discussed before. And why Hyderabad, even though it's a focused economic area, developed area, why there is unemployment within Hyderabad city? I think that we need to look at. And then we are focusing mostly on projects and not a long-standing visionary kind of development. So again, in relation to that, what are the issues related to institutions? I think that's a focus. And then urbanization. I think now, past 15 years, this prediction that 70% of India will be urban, and Telangana is already, in fact, almost 50% it is urban. When you look at the population of 3.5 crores, almost 1 crore population is in Hyderabad. And if you add other smaller cities, you are looking at a bigger, almost 50% or even 60%. There are implications on governance as well, governance and institution. And of course, climate change is what we have been discussing. Recent floods, unprecedented flood, not just 1 or 2 years. We are talking a century back, development. So this is again caused by heat island effect, and heat island effect is contributed by the kind of development Hyderabad is witnessing. So these are some of the critical areas which have implications on institutions. I'm not talking of policies, but in general, it is also related to institutional growth and continuation of old institutions, and what are the changes which should have come in, but then they did not come. So most institutions became static and their functions became redundant because they have been static. So I think we need to put that in focus and start discussing issues. Now in Hyderabad, we are looking at a variety of municipal institutions. This is again common. You are looking at similarity in various other cities like Chennai or Delhi. So this multiplicity of institutions is another issue. So in Hyderabad, we are looking at Greater Hyderabad Municipal Corporation, Metro Water Works, Sewerage Board, Hyderabad Metro Development, Metropolitan Development Agency. Then you have municipal administration and urban development department. This is so basically state government is coming through that MAUD. Then you have Kulli Kutub Shah Urban Development Authority. You have Cyberabad Development Authority. You have Buddha Purnima Development Authority. So there are different urban development authorities, and a number of corporations have come in recently. So that we'll discuss in detail, but there are several municipal institutions, even traffic department, traffic police. I think we need to look at them as well as part of the municipal institution. Then this, offbeat, basically trade and manufacturing. Now, Hyderabad as the conglomeration is a hub for trade and manufacturing. And then that's again brings in industry and commerce department. But within municipal institutions, we don't find any, corresponding institution which is available there. So GHMC talks of trade licenses, nothing beyond that. So they are never concerned about the kind of manufacturing which happens within the city. Almost If you look at the past data, 10-year-old data coming from urban community development programs, a lot of informal manufacturing is happening in Hyderabad. So you can look at Charminar, around Charminar, where a lot of small consumer items are produced by lakhs of families, and that is again sold across the Hyderabad. So I think this is a area which is never gets its due share in the institution development or institutional performance. Groundwater department, of course, groundwater is a major source of water in Hyderabad. Almost 70% of its needs come from groundwater. But again, groundwater department does not get reflected here. Irrigation, of course, most of the water to Hyderabad comes from sources, irrigation sources outside Hyderabad. But then again, the irrigation department does not have a cousin within the municipal institution. Revenue, a lot of land. Land is the major resource. And again, revenue department is governed by the state government. Electricity is again a different cousin. And of course, the overall state government. So state government is located in Hyderabad, but most of the departments, they do not deal with Hyderabad itself. So 1 crore population is never the focus of the state government. Now, what is happening in the last 20, 30 years gradually? One, you can see GHMC is shedding its functions. This is not I'm on a priority list or one by one, just a random list. One, you can see solid waste management. Gradually, in the last 30 years, most of this is moving towards privatization, and Ramki, has been given this contract to shift, transfer solid waste generated within the city to Jawahar Nagar. The details we'll discuss later. Water was shifted to Metro Water Works and Sewerage Board long back in 1987 when a separate board with a separate act, this was moved to a separate institution. And again, this is because World Bank, it was a political decision. World Bank thought water is supplied freely and that is leading to wastage. So to reduce wastage, they thought ownership has to be built. And for ownership to be built, it has to be priced. And for that pricing, costing, and a political decision-making body like GHMC can't do that. So they said a corporate body is required. So a separate body has been established. But last 30 years, I'll go into that detail later. Roads, recently, last year and this year, I think roads have been given for private maintenance. Property, now, of course, property tax is usually collected by bill collectors and GHMC itself. But now we have a new mechanism, Dharani, maintained again by Telangana state government, but not backed by any act. And then the recent Telangana building pass, this means a self-certified building regulation. So both these together, websites, portals, the mechanisms, I think will move away collection of property tax from GHMC to state government. So that means again state government has to give it to GHMC. So this is erosion there. Transport, we are increasingly seeing RTC was a long back independent. I think even during Nizam government, Nizam times, RTC buses, transport, mass transport was a distinct identity. But now with the coming of Hyderabad Metro Rail, which is again a private independent entity. At least 50% of mass transport has again become independent of GHMC. Private vehicles, of course, a lot of 70% of Hyderabad transport is private. So ultimately, you're seeing transport never becoming part of GHMC. Education, we used to have municipal schools. I think they have been phased out. So GHMC has no role in education. Urban community development was a department, and all these poor people, poverty, growth, all those aspects were dealt with by UCD. But now I don't see that department at all. Housing was also part of municipal corporation, but now it has become part of state government's role. Food, they could talk of 5 rupees Annapurna free meal. So again, that comes from, I think, Ramakrishna Mission or some such charity. So if you look at overall, all these were part of municipal functions, and gradually they are moving away. So ultimately, the question is, what is that GHMC is going to do? And why we require 150 corporators who don't have any role in any of these important life related functions. So I think that's a big question before us. Now, in terms of indicators, when we are talking of institutions and their performance, I think these are the indicators which we need to look at. First, the topmost is the transparency. How transparent are these GHMC and municipal institutions? Absolutely none. When you look at their websites or their transactions, transparency is very, very low. And I don't know if there are any indexes. If you look at any municipal or smart city indexes, they don't look at transparency as a factor. Independent audit. Now, my knowledge shows that none of the municipal institutions are being audited in the last 35 years. So, expenditure, what we are seeing as expenditure, usually there is a lot of leakage and corruption. And that has impact on the efficiency of services, quality of services. So why no independent audit? State government finances, they are invariably audited. Of course, even after audit, corruption does happen, but at least there is a mechanism, and that mechanism is absent with the municipal institution. So we have been for long. I've been asking CAG should be, mandated to audit municipal institutions. Oversight, of course, apart from people oversight, which is the oversight mechanism? State legislature, if you look at the records in the last, again, 25, 30 years, has never ever discussed Hyderabad and the Hyderabad development. So when we are talking of a, decentralized governance, which was promised by Constitution, which is the constitutional body which is giving, assuring oversight of what is happening here. So again, I feel there's a lot of gap there. Public participation, of course, election does not mean public participation. That's one step. But in terms of decisions, when thousands of crores are invested, and recent government saying they have invested 67,000 crores. But based on what? Who has asked what? No participation at all. I think investment flow would have happened. Independence, you can see GHMC gradually being, gobbled by state government. So the independence erosion has been happening for long, and it has increased in recent times after Telangana formation. And of course, because of all this, we again need to look at how efficient these institutions are when they are investing, crores of money on unnecessary, services. Like now you see on Tank Bund, they are now, again laying down something else, which they say night bazaar. We don't know. Every year, Tank Bund, there is something or other construction happening. So I think those are the road dividers, then beautification program. All these have never been questioned. Now we are seeing LED lighting, and we see on them only on the main thoroughfare. But then there are a lot of colonies without lights at all. So you have a mismatch of the funds and efficient usage. Coordination again is a big problem. So we are looking at multiple institutions with no coordination. If you remember, just one aspect is every year GHMC says for road digging, people have to put up, I think they need to inform, but all public sector institutions, they dig the road on their own. So what we see is a good road suddenly being dug for some small activity, and then ultimately the road becomes redundant. So that's one example, but there are a number of examples where lack of coordination has led to civic distress. Now I'm just giving you a glimpse of GHMC budget. This, again, if you look at the every year budget, I have been studying budgets, especially public budgets for the past 20 years. But this GHMC budget is, it is, at best say baffling, because it is like any corporate budget. There are a lot of fudging, a lot of hiddenness in that. So whenever they mention some item, you can't understand straight away where that expenditure has gone. For namesake, you will find 6 to 7 pages of GHMC budget, but you can't make a head and tail out of it, some of those expenditures. And every year they keep changing the framework. Last 3 years, for example, if you look at this development charges, the fourth line, this you will see only up to this 3-4 years, I mentioned. But later years, you don't find that mentioned. I don't know previously what was that. ఎవరు మళ్ళీ సైలెంట్ లో పెట్టుకుని ఎవరో జాయిన్ అవుతున్నారు. Now, the biggest problem which is mentioned recently is increasingly
అదే బాలస్వామి గారు మీరు మ్యూట్ చేసుకోవాలి. థ్యాంక్ యూ, ప్లీజ్.
GHMC is taking loans, a lot of loans. There is a newspaper report which says now it has reached up to 30,000 crores. But then when you look at the GHMC accounts, they mention 2,816 crores in the last year budget. Even this is very high. But again, what about the other loans? So that I think they are taking through independent corporation. So we have Road Development Corporation, we have Musi Development Corporation. So each corporation independently takes loans and
Reconnection successful.
Water is a big issue in Hyderabad. Water has been a big issue and it will be. Last 20, 35 years, we have gradually moved from dependent water resources to dependent
ఒక్కసారి
resources.
చెక్ చేయండి ఈ
So, from Gandipet, Usman Sagar, Himayat Sagar to Singur, from Singur, Nagarjuna Sagar, and now Nagarjuna Sagar to Godavari. So, I think this dependence to at long distance resources is increasing. And of course, population is increasing, needs are increasing. Then pollution is also pollution of local water resources is happening. Ultimately, we are scarcity. శివప్రసాద్ రెడ్డి గారు మీదే.
మీరు సుబ్బారావు గారు మీరు మ్యూట్ చేయలేరా? అందరి మీరే మ్యూట్ చేయలేరా?
యాక్చువల్గా ఇక్కడ టెక్నికల్ ప్రాబ్లం. ఒక 3 minutes మీరు అసలు ఏం లేదు, మనకు మొత్తం డిస్కనెక్ట్ చేస్తే మళ్ళీ ఇంకో సోర్స్ నుంచి కనెక్ట్ చేశాను అట్లా. కానీ
ఓకే, సో వాటర్ this has become cyclical issue. Demand is increasing, needs are increasing, and leading to pollution, then scarcity. Scarcity again, it is leading to demand. So this is again we are taken from HMD, a master plan. So in 2011, the population was 77 lakhs and per capita 209 liters was supplied, and ultimately the demand was 1612 MLD. So by 2031, this again the figure needs to be reviewed, but master plan says 185 lakhs. It will be, population will be 185 lakhs, and per capita of 210 liters, we require 3900 MLD. Now TRS government is promising Keshavapur reservoir and another reservoir at near Chautupal. And they are saying 5 TMC, total 10 TMC will be available for Hyderabad. So you can have 24 hours water. Now that again promise coming from state government. So there are several issues that I'll discuss later. But then what is the sustainability in this? I think that's a big question. The more water you bring into Hyderabad, the more dirty water flows in the river. So this equation has never been understood by municipal institutions, and there's no concomitant responses from the institutions here. So they merely, everyone
Hello. Any problem?
అక్కడనే ప్రాబ్లం ఉన్నట్టుంది.
Narasimha garu.
Narasimha garu, we are not able to listen.
Yeah, there is some internet or some technical problem at speaker's level, I believe.
Deliberately జరుగుతుంది.
Meanwhile, I just want to review shortly before Dr. D.N. Reddy resumes back. Hope that will be fine with everybody. Okay?
Yeah.
Dr. Narasimha Reddy brought out very key issues, and in that I would like to discuss on the latest recent one, what he talked on the budget of the GHMC. You see, interestingly, the state governments have created a lot of gimmicks in bypassing the funds what they are getting it. It all started some 20 years even before that. The government of India used to give a lot of funds for the watershed. Narasimha Reddy, by your back?
Yeah, power cut ikkada.
Okay.
I'm using now
Okay, okay.
provided. This
Welcome back.
screen sharing.
Screen sharing. I will do it again. Okay.
పవర్ కట్ ఉంటే న్యూస్ అన్నారు, మరి ఇప్పుడు న్యూస్ అవుతుందో లేదో.
దే ఆర్ ఇంటర్ఫియరింగ్, అప్పటి నుంచి నడుస్తూనే ఉంది ఇది. కానివ్వండి.
Okay. Sorry. Okay, we were here. So water is again the big issue. I'll come to that. What are the institutional implications of that? Now take the issue of transport. Now there is a unified metropolitan transit authority, UMTA. UMTA is backed by Act, and Hyderabad is the first one to establish UMTA. Now you have all metropolitan cities with this authority, UMTA, Unified Metropolitan Transit Authority. Transport Authority or Transit, basically. So Transport Authority, basically, this is a coordinating agency between all kinds of transport, because urban areas, especially cities, have a big issue with the transport. Transport becomes a basic need for urban residents because of employment, because of the distances, various other issues. So UMTA is a institution which requires more focus, but UMTA is no longer doing transport planning. In fact, earlier, almost before Telangana, almost every month there used to be a tour by UMTA, basically traffic department, RTC and others. They used to go around and assess transport needs, but it's no longer happening. Why? Because now we brought Hyderabad Metro Rail, which is a very expensive proposition. So in transport, increasingly we are looking at interference from state government and then interference from union government. So basically they are bringing big corporates and these technologies. Now recent proposal is bullet train between Mumbai and Hyderabad through Pune. Again, then you have airport which was at Samshabad. Again, it was built at a very high cost outside Hyderabad. That again, so we are looking at expensive transport options which are being pushed down the urban residents in Hyderabad without any consultation mechanism. Now we have railway MMTS. MMTS on-ground train, and which connects right from Uppukuda, Falaknuma to Lingampalli near Ramchandrapuram, and at a very low cost. The earlier proposal, before Metro Rail came, the earlier proposal was to lay an additional dedicated line, railway line for this MMTS, so that frequency of trains can be increased. And then Nampalli and Malakpet were to be connected, so that a loop will be created, circular loop, that will take care of mass transport which is required. Now to reduce private vehicles which contribute to pollution, which also contribute to roads and all those infrastructure and that investment, I think most investments have been recommended for mass transport. But in Hyderabad, MMTS, which required only 260 crores 10 years back, now it has gone up to 800 crores. But even here, then state government is not ready to invest on MMTS, but more on HMR. So again, the economic interests become different. So basically, for 30, 40, 50% of people in Hyderabad who cannot afford to pay, they don't have personal vehicles. They can either walk and cycle, even though they will be interested in cycle, roads are not conducive for cycling. And then what is the transport option which we are giving to this 50% of the population? MMTS was a good option, but state government is not pursuing. GHMC is nowhere in the picture of discussion at all. Now, another option, RTC. We had a good RTC services. In fact, they were the top in the entire India. At that time, APSRTC was considered as the topmost because of its number of services, the connectivity, and the number of services, the connectivity, and the in terms of delivery of services. But gradually, for various reasons, in the last 15 years, RTC has been reduced to a loss-making corporation. Now, but still, if you look at recent after lockdown, when Metro Rail was started, even before buses were started, Metro Rail could not reach 1 lakh passengers. Even now, after I think 2 months of 3 months of restarting service, but RTC, which was started much later, within 1 week they reached 10 to 15 lakh population traveling by RTC buses. That shows the popularity and the connectivity. But then government of Telangana is not investing on buses. Right now there are some 1,200 buses for RTC, but the requirement is at least 5,000. We have been doing a campaign. हर लाख को एक बस हर 50 को एक बस sorry per lakh 50 buses. So lakh ko 50 campaign. That means for every 1 lakh population, 50 buses is a norm actually. Of course, it can be more, but you going by that norm, Hyderabad should have at least 5,000 buses, but they have only 800 or 600 buses. And government is nowhere planning to increase the number of buses, even though that is the most popular public transport available in Hyderabad. So this most popular transport, RTC and railway MMTS, are neglected, and HMR is being promoted. In fact, HMR representative sits on all the meetings where Hyderabad planning happens. Not even GHMC commissioner. Sometimes GHMC commissioner is also absent, but HMR representative is there. So you can see how institutional roles are shifting, which are not noticed at all, not commented at all. And why HMR is sitting? HMR wants passengers. They want to get profitable. And that profitability is not happening because of the way it is developed and the connectivity which is lacking and the expensive tickets. But then, so to force people to travel, now they are saying we need to densify city along metro rail station. So near wherever metro rail station is there, they want to relax building rules. So if it is G+1, they want to do it G+10 or whatever. So that densification, that means at a same place, they want to increase the population without any assessment of the implications on other services. So what about water services, sewerage services, and many other services which that population requires? Because there is no space, parking. So within, if you take example of one metro station near Panjagutta, now itself there is no space for all these additional services. Now, if you are going to, increase the population 5 times, you can see the problems there. And still, there is no guarantee that that population will use only metro rail. They will again have their own private vehicles. So you are only multiplying the problem. without solving the problem. And now they are talking of Kukatpalli to Hyderabad airport, another metro rail lane, monorail, or all sorts of ideas are being thrown around, but expensive transport option. Now, this is again going to burden municipal finances. So again, there's no GHMC, and there's no discussion at all in the elections about these options. So overall transport, because it moved away from GHMC, we don't discuss it at all. Now with all these resources, transport, water, sewerage, treatment, all the civic services, these are five fundamentals which we need to look at. One, in terms of governance. One, the skill. So human resources. Where are the human resources coming? Recent example, last year, I think 2 years back, GHMC recruited some 240 young engineers, and none of them know how to draw a plan or how to assess a contract. So they had to be sent to some training again. So we are lacking even the basic minimum. Long back, we had public health engineers. Now engineers are neither taught public health nor transport, nothing. So the skill set required, which has to be increasing or which has to become creative, is missing. So that's why you have lots of problems and dependency on foreign companies, foreign corporates, and foreign technology. Second big issue is the finance. Of all the projects which are happening in Hyderabad in the last 10-15 years, finance is coming from loans or from central government. The GHMC, we have seen their budget. They can't even pay their salaries. In fact, recently, it was mentioned that down, I think 2-3 months down the line, GHMC will be unable to pay salaries because they are in the minus. They have to pay 300 crores of salaries every year, and 100 crores goes towards maintenance of various other services. So they require at least 500 crores every month, mainly to maintain their operations. And what are the operations? They don't have transport, they don't have water, they don't have roads. So what is that they are doing with all this money or the resources? Yeah, that's another question. But main issue is where is the finance coming? Most metro cities are poor, poverty-ridden corporations. Though people talk about villages, sarpanches, as if they are parasites on the taxes of the union government, but all metros are parasites on union governments, and then they get more subsidies than comparatively with the village or rural India. But so finance is a big issue. In fact, if you look at a financial district in Hyderabad, or if you look at Kavuri Hills or Jubilee Hills, Madhapur, there you will find very beautiful houses, swank cars, but the roads are dirtiest, worse than village roads. Now, the normal question comes to us: why these people, are they not paying taxes, or are their taxes not enough to pay roads there? That's one question. The other question is GHMC has included a lot of villages, erstwhile villages surrounding Hyderabad into GHMC. Now, most of the villages which were good in managing their sewerage, their roads and their lighting, now they have become defunct. So many villages, erstwhile villages, they don't have basic civic amenity. So on the other hand, you see rich people not getting it and poor people also not getting it. Ultimately, what is happening with the finances of GHMC? Operations and maintenance is a big issue. Again, there's no discussion on that. Technology, I think increasingly modern technologies are being brought without understanding its implications on operations and maintenance. So recently, state government, municipal minister inaugurated 150, good trucks which can transport waste efficiently to Nagar. But then, what about the maintenance? Who is paying that maintenance? And every garbage truck, I think it has to be, there is that frequent turnover because of the kind of waste, wet waste. All these trucks become redundant within 2 years or 3 years. And do we need 20 tonners to travel through the Hyderabad? So all these issues come. So O&M and technology, they are interrelated. But then in governance, we are not discussing that. Growth, again, we are, it's a reactive governance. So we only react to the problems, but not with a long-term vision on how growth can happen without problems. So this long-term vision is missing. Now, as I mentioned, functions and responsibilities. HMDA looks at master plan. But then I know GHMC and even Hyderabad had master plans. Now we don't talk about master plans. Why can't we talk again about master plans and review it and see how Hyderabad master plan can be tuned to the current needs. But master plans seem to be only for suburban development rather than core city development. As I said, water, Metro Water Board, has a responsibility with supplying water and also managing sewerage. But then its investments are going only into water supply rather than sewerage system. That's why recent floods we have seen the absence of a modern sewerage system and its implications on the disaster. State governments, is happy with the districts, revenue department, and all those things. But again, it doesn't. Even though it is substituting GHMC functions, it is done by only one individual or two individuals sitting in CDMA or MBUD. So ultimately, GHMC, what are the functions and responsibilities of GHMC? This is a big question even now. I have last two slides. So what I'm looking at is there are a lot of gaps and challenges. One, cosmopolitan culture. And you might think, what are the implications, political implications of this? Hyderabad has multiple languages, multiple religions, multiple regional regions residing here. There is no ownership, and that has its implications on the governance of the institution. That's why I'm saying the political implications. So that you can see reflected in the voting pattern. So only 35% vote for that because others feel they are here either temporary or they think they have no connection with the city. So eventually this migrant population, rich, poor, everyone. Poor, of course, we don't give space for them. And rich, they don't participate because they think they are not connected at all. So this cosmopolitan culture, which we keep on, bragging as if it's a positive feature, has its negative implications on institutions and political governance. Now, this relation between city, state, and union, I think this is increasingly becoming a top-down approach. Even though Constitution under 74th Amendment tries to give independence to municipal institutions. So, in terms of taxes, which I mentioned earlier, the tax collection which comes from Hyderabad, will it come back to Hyderabad towards its development or provision for services. I think we need to have discussion on that. Why it is only grants? Finance Commission talks about grants, and grants are based on a devolutionary mechanism. But there's not much discussion on why there is a, what do you say, there's no continuity in, what do you say, there's no continuity in, I don't think it will help in, sustainability of institutions that govern and decision. Who takes the decision? Now with Metro Rail, even though people opposed it, union government wanted it, and ultimately they imposed it by giving a subsidy of some 1,480 crores. So same it goes with the JNNURM scheme earlier. They said low floor buses, and they gave buses manufactured by Tata, which are not suited to Hyderabad roads. So now recently electric vehicles, buses. I think 3 years back, some 70 buses were bought. Ultimately, they, because of the roads, because of the traffic, they are run only on airport routes rather than they are available for mainly polluted routes in Hyderabad. So these decisions which are coming from elsewhere, just because finance is coming from elsewhere, I think these are deciding the relations between city, state, and the union government. I think we need to review this again. Now, because of this situation, state government is increasingly corporatizing the municipal bodies. So as I mentioned, we have now 5 state-run companies which respond to mainly important services: water, roads, sewerage, and solid waste management system. So increasingly, state government is establishing companies which are nowhere they are linked with the state legislature or constitutionally mandated institutions to do oversight or audit or do basically to ensure that they run public money is spent properly. So these companies are outside that ambit. So again, how can we bring that into this oversight of the into this oversight of the along in last 30 years I have not seen their audit report, and that audit report has never been discussed in state legislature. So Metro Water Board, which spends thousands of crores, remains outside any public oversight. Similarly, I think now roads also involve some 5,000 crores of investment. Now with a strategic road development project, which is 24,000 crores, I think that again is being routed through private corporation. So it's not only about spending. It is not only about corruption. It is also about prioritization. So SRDP prioritizes a road and a bridge over Durgam Cheru than other critical areas, and they insist more on flyovers rather than how to democratize the road space where pedestrians get more space. So all these decisions are taken by companies which are remain outside the democratic setup in India. Now within GHMC, we have elected 150 corporators, and how it is run, I think no one has looked into it in detail. So we have a GHMC council where 150 corporators sit and discuss what, if you look at again last 20 years of records, you can absolutely see a mayor or a state government representative in the name of commissioner putting up a proposal, and ultimately I don't think they do go for voting as well. I have not seen any eyes in that. And then we have a standing committee, almost like a cabinet. But then this standing committee only, endorses what the state government or MAUD proposes. So again, there's no discussion, there's no record, there's no voting. So these are democratic spaces, but absolutely run without democracy. And then area sabhas, ward sabhas, which are part of 74th Amendment, they are again filled with nominated members. The area sabhas do not have, they don't get power, they don't get finances, and they remain mute bodies without any decision making, even though everyone recognizes the importance of area sabhas in urban governance. And water governance, as I mentioned, there is no integrated approach with the fragmented institutional structure. So irrigation department, it supplies water, and then Metro Water Works, and Metro Water Works in turn supplies cantonment board. So all these people ultimately, when we are talking of Mission Bhagirath, which is now supplying water at very high cost, where does the finance come for its sustainability? I think this question is not yet answered, is not yet been raised, even though I have been raising it in several forums. So ultimately, water governance is heading towards unsustainable practices. This 24-hour power supply, who is deciding that? And why they are promising 24-hour power supply and not water for all? Every household should get water because of various other reasons as a right, but still that's not ensured. But they are talking of 24-hour power supply, which is going to become a wasteful resource. So there are a lot of more gaps also. I'll just come to this final slide. So what is that way forward? So we need to apply sustainable development goals here. Primarily, overarching goal could be a democratization of so we need to bring back all the functions which are part of urban town planning. I think that we need to bring back into GHMC. We need to fortify GHMC elected body almost on par with the state legislature, like what state legislature as it functions, committee systems, privileges, and then so that they can, call or bring officials, bureaucracy under their control. I think we need to fortify that. People might think GHMC is corrupt, but still, when the democratization happens, I think public participation increases. We can reduce corruption in that board. And we need more radical changes. So the economy of the city has to happen. So just like we do every year state budget, national budget, we also need economic planning, budgetary planning at a city level. So we need institutions. In fact, recently, Telangana government is floated National Institute of Urban Management, but they are reduced to doing some small consultancies rather than economic planning for the city. So I think we need to have institutions which can do that. And I think there we need to talk about self-finance as an operational principle. Because now it is all cities are subsidized by union funds. I think we need to relook at it and put self-finance as an operational principle. This is again what was done in Mumbai. GHMC can it be divided into smaller corporations because a centralized corporation may not respond to that. In fact, interestingly, Congress manifesto has a promise. They say we will spend taxes collected from an area in the same area. I think that kind of principle is required because you collect taxes. Well, of course, there has to be some cross subsidy, but then we need to have a balance between this principle and cross subsidization of growth in other areas.
Dr.
So
Reddy, I
this has
request you to, because it's already 1 hour, 10 minutes, because the other
Okay.
issues, uh, they also.
Okay. Now, finally, final 3
Please,
points.
please.
One is technology. Technology, Telangana government talks about blockchain technology, but it has never been used at a practical level. So for a coordination between these different bodies, I think that blockchain technology can be used so that we reduce inefficient deployment of resources. Regulation has to become more transparent. It's not that deregulation is the answer, but regulation has to become more transparent. And ultimately, we have to talk about decentralized development, smart investment. Smart is not people think smart means a computer digitized investment. I'm talking about sustainable, monitored, and renewable kind of transparent investment and effective transport solutions where Hyderabad, investment should not increase concentrated development. So we can think of extending MMTS up to Mahbub Nagar, Karim Nagar, Nalgonda, Warangal, so that people can stay there and come to city if at all to work by a faster route and not a big, resource intensive transport solution like bullet train, but MMTS, I think it can help in decentralized development. So I'll stop here and we can take questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Narasimha Reddy, and you have given elaborate, in detailed analysis of all the institutions and the city's analysis of its resource management. One thing curiously, I felt something is missing in your thing is the kind of smart city concept which is being pushed from the top down. Yeah, we can take it later. This is what I felt. That is one. But as rightly pointed out, there are several issues actually. And to conclude very briefly before I request the other participants, the summary of the entire presentation I felt is it focuses more a need for participation, transparency, accountability, convergence, regulation, and radical changes. And interestingly, every month, first week, Monday, GHMC organizes convergence meeting. All the departments participate and they have a separate budget for that because all IAS officers participate. Kaju, okay? Kaju, good samosa, Paradise Hotel chai. And I have not come across any collective decision taken by them and implemented. But they send ritually the convergence minutes of the meeting to central government. This is the unfortunate part. Before I request the participants, who would like to interact. Anybody, please?
I think Nagesh raised his hand.
Nagesh, are you there?
I think
Yes, sir.
ఏమన్నా అడుగుతున్నావా?
సార్ చెప్పండి.
చెయ్యి లేపినావు, ఏమన్నా అడుగుదాం అనుకున్నావా అన్న?
లేదు సార్ అది.
Okay, by default. Anybody else? Jawhar, Brahmanandam garu, you are a new entry to our. Please introduce yourself, Sri Brahmanandam. And yeah, Anand Kishore, Rubina is there. So please think. Meanwhile, I will just try to, highlight some of the presentation thing. This is most important. Most of the national and international debates. I see everybody talks of energy, as if we are living in a Stone Age period and trying to manage our lives with some candles and kerosene. Okay, but nobody gives an emphasis on water for all. Why? And water for all has become a big business to present day bureaucrats and the politicians looking for new sources which are far off and making a mega projects out of it. This is one dangerous thing which is happening. And the second important thing on the transport sector, as rightly pointed out, there is no need to expand the city to Mehbubnagar, Nalgonda, and Vikarabad, than expand efficient transport facility so that those people can come and work here and go. The MMTS can solve this problem. That is what the speaker highlighted. Okay. Master plans, it's an eyewash in our city and the country. And eyewash this master plan never takes care of the hydrological systems or the lakes present in the city even. Recently, the sewage responsibility of managing the sewage is shifted to GHMs just 15 days back. That is one. Skill, finance. Finance is a big game in this country because most of the government of India funds go to government constituted NGOs, societies, self-help groups in urban areas, which never see the light of auditing. I was talking to some of the officers in the CAG. They never go because the funds have gone to society. Even the World Bank funds or any financial institution funds that go to a society, it will never go through the treasury. So since it doesn't go through the treasury, it never goes to the auditing. This is never discussed. This is a big lacuna. O&M is a big farce. All the lakes, which they say they are putting up all the STPs, the cost of an STP for a 10 MLD Sarur Nagar lake, the electricity bill itself comes to 1 crore 60 lakhs per annum. So 60% of the period, the STP is not run because they don't have money to pay for the energy costs. So they have to think of this. When you raise this, they say for everything you are coming out. My friends, I tell you, these institutions do not have any capacity. Last 6 years, we were putting pressure on the bioremediation, and every time HMDA comes out with the announcement that bioremediation for Hussain Sagar, they do not have any skill to draft the tender for me. Thrice it was cancelled. Forget about town planning and engineers. 20 young engineers were recruited in the disaster management division of GHMC. They do not know the spelling of disaster. They have not experienced any disaster. When I asked, they said they were the people to monitor demolitions on the footpaths. That is the duty of disaster management. So there are several things, we need to look into it, think of. So democracy is not just voting, okay? Democracy calls for institutional review, participation, monitoring, evaluation of the things, and how do we make the council to effectively function, okay?
If I am permitted to add, demography and democracy should lead to strengthening of institutions. Now what Dr. Narasimha Reddy garu has presented, it is absolutely true. GHMC is hollow and void. What are its functions? It is devoid of all the functions. This is really a pitiable condition. And for that, 150 wards and this such an election scenario, putting even people at risk during the second phase of corona, in spite of floods when they are literally suffering, that has really exposed, the floods have really exposed the functioning of GHMC and the municipal administration ministry also. How they are
See,
running around just to influence.
Yeah, you rightly pointed out, but the whole problem is the decision is pushed from the other authority sitting on GHMC.
State
And
Election
another,
Commission, State Election Commission is also a neutral body.
Yeah, financing channel, I came across is the CSR funds to government. A lot of money comes to it. And to my surprise, government, GHMC charges for a company to take up restoration work of a lake, you know the permission fees? 10 lakh rupees. They have taken permission fees from several companies, but not given permit to restore the lake.
My God.
Officers have transferred. This is the pathetic situation, but they have clever mechanism to get the new sources of funding. And another interesting thing, Dr. Kapil Gupta, professor from IIT Bombay, when we were organizing the training workshop for GHMC engineers and other engineers from Navi Mumbai, we were shocked. These engineers, they do not have the knowledge of the latest computation methods for urban flooding. They are using the formulae which is there for last 50. And today the city is almost 100% concretized. So these are some of the issues where we need to think seriously. And I think my participants by this time got some ideas to ask and intervene. So anybody please?
My humble submission, now who should look after the devolution of powers to municipal or urban local bodies? Who should be held responsible? How should we make urban local bodies function now? That is the big aspect. Now even people should question before they vote. For what they are voting, for whom they are voting.
Okay, now we leave it to Professor Purushottam Reddy garu, because ఎవరి చేత ఎవరిని పని చేయాలా అని అంటే ఇది పెద్ద ప్రశ్న. మా హెడ్ మాస్టర్ వచ్చి చెప్తుండే నేను మానిటర్ ఉండగా, అరే ఒక 4 పేర్లు చెప్పురా కొట్టేసిపోతా, అట్లా మన సిస్టమ్ తయారైంది. I humbly request Professor Purushottam Reddy.
Thank you, Subhana. At the outset, I wish to compliment Dr. Narasimha Reddy for the wonderful,
Beautiful.
very insightful study that he has undertaken. And I think Hyderabad Democracy Forum has done a yeoman service by inviting him. And his presentation will, I'm sure in the days to come, it will generate a lot of debate, and it should lead to the betterment of the functioning of GHMC. We have in this today in our group, one is Professor Brahmanandam, my colleague from the Department of Political Science. And also Rubina is a research scholar from Kakatiya University. We have Shilpa Krishna. She is from the University of Hyderabad. So I request we'll start with the youngsters, Rubina and Shilpa, and then I request Brahmanandam also to please interact. మీరు విలువండి.
Professor Brahmanandam garu, are you there? Sir, please unmute your mic. Professor Brahmanandam.
Shilpa, you please speak.
Shilpa, are you there?
Sir, hi.
Hi.
Long time.
It's hi everyone.
We have not heard from you for a long time. How are you? And please go ahead.
Yes. So it was an interesting presentation. Thank you so much for this, and I thank Purushottam sir for sharing this link. As usual, sir, as we attend most of the thing, we're addressing the problems. The thing is, what is the way out? How can we contribute to all this? Or, that is something which we all need to brainstorm. I don't think we have a solution for this, like, okay, if we do this, this will happen. But as a team, I think we need to kind of brainstorm, have a kind of discussion as to what is the way out. How do we as civil society organizations, or as, how can we put pressure on the, government to work out in making them function what they were supposed to function, or they were supposed to
A
do.
long way. We just we just coined a game. When we coin a game, we have to slowly evolve through the experience and pilot experiments the rules of the game. Okay, and how we learn from this, and we are also trying to interact with other forums, democracy forums outside the country, and tomorrow we are inviting them, and we need to go a long way in evolving a strategy, and I'm hopeful we can do it. One thing, whatever it is, the only national song which motivates me every time is मन में है विश्वास पूरा है विश्वास हम होंगे कामयाब एक दिन. That's all. Okay. Thank you so much, Shilpa. And Rabina, are you there? Rabina? Professor Brahmanandam Garu? I think we have Mr. Jawhar, you would like to add anything? Jawhar?
Yeah, I would.
Jawhar, unmute your mic. Jawhar, unmute your mic. Yeah, thank you.
There was, a bullet point about waste management, solid waste management. And I'm sure, Subbarao, you must be aware that, that Devanar dumping yard in Bombay, they face this problem of, the entire garbage catching fire at various parts, and they start the blame game, etc., etc. That, of course, Devanar is a very big dumping yard as compared to whatever we have here. But are we going towards that situation? One thing. The other is, once it rains a bit like it did today, just as the dusk falls, it starts stinking, definitely indicating that some dump has been done, some dumping has been done somewhere around, and because of the little water that has seeped into it.
We are moving towards Devanar kind of situation. So, unfortunately, it goes by your name, Jawahar Garu. Jawahar Nagarlo, they are continued to dump every day 4,500 metric tons of waste. Now there is a huge mountain there. Now the solutions...
I have that dubious distinction.
So now the solution which are being discussed by our most modern and elegant Minister for Municipal Administration, he promises to continue the capping and collect the leachate and treat. They have not started treating, but that's what he is promising. And then the waste to energy plant, 25 megawatts plant which is established there. So right now government's thinking is 20-year-old thinking. These are the solutions which were discussed 25 years back. But then when they are saying we are modern, they are not yet imbibed the need for waste reduction strategies within GHMC. So when we are talking of plastic, how plastic is increasing, and how the building construction contributes to increase in wasting. So they are not talking of retrofitting buildings so that waste can be reduced. So there are a number of solutions which are being pursued in other states of India. We are not talking of foreign countries that are not even recognized here in Hyderabad. So first thing we have to start with waste reduction. So how apartments in general, they contribute to increase in wastage. So if you are to looking at per capita wastage, it comes mostly from apartments. So are you talking of building rules or construction mechanisms which can reduce wastage from urban apartments? I think that has not been looked at still. And secondly, plastic waste, that's again a big ocean of discussion. But single-use plastic, I think that is again increasing. We need to focus on how to reduce single-use plastic. So, just one example is when milk supply increasingly has become plastic sachet waste, and not earlier. Hyderabad had a tradition of milk supply, local milk supply. So that means again you need to look at land use and then go into master plan. So Hyderabad has banned those animal pens which were there within the colonies or around colonies. So I think these are all linked strategies which are not thought about, so that single-use plastic should be reduced at each level. So that's why I'm saying Hyderabad, core Hyderabad, at least this 600, 700 square kilometer Hyderabad needs to relook at its master plan. We think just because buildings have come, master plan has become redundant. No, now we need to look at the master plan again, and what can a master plan for this core constructed, concretized area can be done, which again looks at sewerage, which looks at water supply, which looks at of course, as you said, waste management. Now, many, Pune, Bangalore, they are invariably saying all apartments should collect their kitchen waste, compostable waste, and they'll be given space in nearby open areas to compost, grow food for themselves. I think those are the solutions which we need to be pursuing now, and use master plan as a tool for that.
Yeah.
So there are many other plans.
Then, as I too pointed out, brought out by Dr. Narasimha Reddy, Mr. Johar, the entire issue is we have a problem, we have a technology, okay, and what kind of a technology we are adopting. The whole issue is we are not following what is called participation and consultations. Government of India gives loan of 600 crore subsidy to Reddy-Key, but it will not give 5 lakh rupees for my new idea. In our childhood, young days, I am a fan, I am a photographer. In our days, we had black and white photograph. And I know the boys used to come to the photograph studio and take the, what is that, hypo, used hypo, from each of these black and white photograph studios. And they used to extract silver out of it. Is it not recycling? Does it not giving livelihood? There is a wonderful experiment in Bangalore. As the lady came here, Hyderabad, I tried to push it in the GHM. She developed a software, and even a rat picker today has a smartphone. What he does is, he clicks all the 3 bins of each house. If it is segregated, he will take the garbage, otherwise he leaves. Okay? And this picture is transmitted to the GHMC central office. Okay? Here what is happening in our Telugu speaking states is, మేము చేయడానికి అంతా ఉన్నాం, నువ్వు ఏమన్నా ఇయ్యి నాకు. Why? In USA, they collect the garbage once in a week. You know that? We are thankful GHMC is collecting at least every day. People's responsibility also counts in addressing these issues, not the technologies alone. Thank you so much. Raj Babu, you are waiting.
Yeah, I have 2 points. 2 points to tell. The garbage issue, though we are segregating at our doorstep, degradable and non-degradable, the guy who is taking and putting in his motorized vehicle is mixing it up. I asked him why can't you take it? He says, no, I don't have any provision. First, initially used to keep 2 gunny bags, 1 gunny bag separately over the days. He stopped. That's one point. Another thing is about urban transportation. Our RTC buses picked up so many lakhs of passengers, but not the metro rail. And my observation about metro rail in Hyderabad is, from Nagol to Tarnaka, that side, very less commuters. Even Dilshnagar route also, because there is no feeder transportation. Whereas in Delhi and all, they have lot of motorized 3-wheelers. They go from the bus stands, the major bus stands, and from the colonies to the metro station for flat rates. Even in January, I went there. I could travel from Golf-Links to Jorbag metro station for 20 rupees. If I go by regular auto, it will cost me 60 or 80 rupees. So these are very frequent. I just come out of my guest house. I can just board a motorized auto rickshaw and go there. Whereas that is lacking here. If I go board a metro and get down at Tarnaka Junction from metro, to go to the Usman University, I'm stranded there. Because of a short distance, auto fellow will not come. Then the buses are also not frequent. And this is the very lacuna in urban transportation in Hyderabad metro I have seen. There's no, those promises are made, there's no feeder services. Now we are talking about giving permissions for the high-rise buildings around the metro stations. I don't know how it will solve the solution. The commuter has to come from, say, 2 kilometers, 3 kilometers to the metro station. That facility has to be improved. That's my point.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Raj Babu. For all the participants, Mr. Jawaharlal is a retired bank officer, and he also worked in IRDP and
IRDA.
College. Okay, and Mr. Raj Babu is a retired officer from Air India and a very good social activist. And we have Balaswamy, who is a member in the Soul, and we also have Sri Vidya, who is a BTech, she completed BTech and pursuing her studies to write UPSC examinations. Okay, now I hand over it to Professor Purushottam Reddy to sum up, sir, please.
Yeah, thank you, Subbarao Garu.
Sir, okay, short answer, transportation.
Yeah. Please.
You are raised a very good question, but this is a model that is being under review. Metro rail always requires feeder services, but MMTS does not require that. It all depends on the planning. Second issue is even in Delhi, in fact, we have a network called Sustainable Mobility. We have been discussing all these options. Even Delhi, only population which already has a vehicle, they are using metros. In Hyderabad, for you or for me, for every one of us here, it will be cheaper by taking a metro. But then until you have a chauffeur who can drop you at the metro station, and then you can take it there and then come back. So metro become an option for a family which already has private vehicles. But the other issue is actually there are people who can't afford private vehicles and whose transport budget within their monthly income cannot go beyond 10%. Because, if you are talking of a family in a poor household area with an income of 15,000 or even 20,000, they can't spend 30% on transport alone because they need to spend on food, they need to spend on water. So for 30-50% of the population, metro becomes a redundant option. Then who are you building these systems for? You are building the system for a person who already has a private vehicle. So of course, there are a lot of discussion we can have on that later. Thank you.
So thank you, Narasimha. What you see, the very purpose of Hyderabad Democracy Forum is to generate discussion, deliberations, and people with ideas. We all should converge, and we should be analyzing, understanding, because whatever action we intend to take up, for example, Dr. Shilpa was asking, what is the next move? How do we work on these issues? So to work on those issues, we require information, understanding, and it is basically with this intention that we have come. So for today's prime lecture, I wish to propose a hearty vote of thanks to Dr. Narasimha Reddy, and one point for all those who have joined today. I request and appeal to everyone to subscribe Dr. TSPR channel, because once you subscribe, Dr. Shivaprasad will explain it better because he is in that line. I request him to do so at the end. The next point is tomorrow's meeting. It is Mana B.V. Subbarao Gari idea, excellent. We have been working on this idea, and tomorrow is a marathon session, right from 3 p.m. in the afternoon to 10 o'clock in the night.
Okay.
And it is very deliberately planned that way, because we need to understand. And after that, on 30th, there won't be any campaigning. And of course, we don't belong to any political party, but in the interests of the citizens, they need to know all the problems, and then they need to take the big decision. Because ultimately, when we need to view elections as, the political parties appearing before the citizens, and we citizens are interviewing them. దీంట్లో ఈ వచ్చిన పొలిటికల్ పార్టీస్లో ఎవరు మనకు మంచిగా నమ్మకంగా సేవ చేస్తారు, వాళ్ళకు మనం ఆ బాధ్యత ఇస్తాం. So we the citizens, we need to understand that our representatives are public servants and we are the bosses. So but we need to exercise, and the boss needs to know knowledge is power. కనుక ఈ హైదరాబాద్ డెమోక్రసీ ఫోరం ఇది కేవలం ఎలక్షన్స్ వరకే కాదు, but in the days to come, I'm sure this will become a trendsetter, and every city in the country will have such democracy forums. And I'm sure in the days to come, because already I request all of you, not that you do not know, we have read many a time about Delhi desiring to become a state unto itself. Today they have a chief minister, they have Delhi High Court, they have Delhi Legislative Assembly, but they also have a lieutenant governor who is a big stumbling block, and the free will of the people of Delhi is not moving to the logical conclusion. Of course, Delhi is the national capital territory. There could be other considerations, but somewhere, somehow, a solution and a conflict resolution has to be found. Now, coming to Hyderabad or Bombay or Chennai, Calcutta, and other big cities in the country, it is time that we started. It's not just 74th Amendment, because 74th Amendment has not been completely implemented. The central government on that particular day, that is P.V. Narasimha Rao, he expressed a desire that entry 5 in the state list, which talks about local self-governments, he hoped that sense will prevail on the state governments and they will transfer the needed powers to the local self-government so that they can work out, and the will of the people living in the cities or in the urban areas, ultimately the whole concept shall work in the direction of self-government. Unfortunately, at the state level, we have political parties and personalities, who are more interested in their self-enrichment, and subsequently, as Subbarao-ji the other day mentioned about a battle, in a relay race, the chief ministers in most of the states in this country, they are more keen on transferring their battle to their kith and kin, but not to the citizens in general. So democracy forums are the need of the hour, and we hope to continue. I'm sure in the next 3-4 months, this will be a great force to reckon with. Just on that issue, for example, waste management, we have Dr. Indrasena Reddy, who filed a case in NGT on the Jawahar Nagar garbage dump yard, and he got excellent orders in the very first hearing. Now, even after NGT orders, the state government refuses to implement the orders. So what should we be doing? I mean, in the days to come, we have to discuss, and every discussion should lead to action. So I hope definitely knowledge will lead to enhancement. I request Dr. Indrasena Reddy to throw on the card with the permission of Subbarao Garu, and within 2 minutes.
No, please.
Good. Indrasena, మీరు అన్మ్యూట్ చేసుకోవాలి.
దాని గురించి చెప్పమంటారా?
కొంచెం చెప్తే ఏమవుతుందంటే ఇక్కడ యంగ్స్టర్స్ కూడా ఉన్నారు, రీసెర్చ్ స్కాలర్, కాకతీయ యూనివర్సిటీ నుంచి, మళ్ళీ సెంట్రల్ యూనివర్సిటీ నుంచి.
Okay. I'm Dr. Indrasen Reddy. I'm right now in New Jersey, USA. We'll be back soon in a couple of months. మేము ఏం చేసామంటే ఒకసారి అనుకోకుండా జవహర్ నగర్ డంప్ యార్డ్ విజిట్ చేయడం జరిగింది. సో అక్కడ డంప్ యార్డ్ లోపలికి విత్ ద పర్మిషన్ లోపలికి పోయి బయట కూడా దాని నుండి వచ్చేటువంటి అవన్నీ వాటర్ స్టోరేజ్ అదంతా చూస్తే అది విపరీతమైన స్మెల్, అక్కడ భరించడానికి నిలబడడానికి కూడా కష్టం ఉండే పరిస్థితి ఉండే. దెన్ వీ ఆల్సో విజిటెడ్ నియర్ బై కపుల్ ఆఫ్ ఫ్యూ విలేజెస్. అక్కడ వాటర్ ట్యాంక్స్ అంటే చెరువులు, అక్కడ అగ్రికల్చర్ ల్యాండ్స్ అవన్నీ ఏమి వాళ్ళు అగ్రికల్చర్ చేయట్లేదు, ఆ వాటర్ అగ్రికల్చర్కు యూజ్ కావట్లేదు, ఈవెన్ నాట్ ఫర్ డ్రింకింగ్ ఆఫ్ ఎనిమల్స్ సిచ్యువేషన్. సో దాన్ని చూసి అంతకుముందే అక్కడ పనిచేసే వాళ్ళు ఉన్నారు కొందరు యాక్టివిస్టులు, వాళ్ళ హెల్ప్ తీసుకొని వాళ్ళ దగ్గర ఉన్నటువంటి డేటాతోటి ఎన్జిటీలో కేసు వేయడం జరిగింది. సో అంతకుముందే ఇన్ సమ్ అకేషన్ వి మెట్ ద చైర్మన్ ఆఫ్ ద ఎన్జిటి మిస్టర్ స్వతంత్ర కుమార్ ఆల్సో. సో ఈ అగ్రీ టు accept there itself rather pushing to the Chennai regional NGT. So immediately very first appearance లోనే ఆయన జడ్జిమెంట్ ఇచ్చాడు. దానికి స్టేట్ గవర్నమెంట్, స్టేట్ పీసీబీ అండ్ మున్సిపల్ అథారిటీస్ అంటే జిహెచ్ఎంసీకి కూడా ఆర్డర్స్ ఇచ్చారు. ఏంటంటే ఒక్క దగ్గరనే ఆ డంప్ చేయకూడదు ఆ వేస్టేజ్ అంతా. అట్లీస్ట్ అంటే ఐఎమ్ జస్ట్ కటింగ్ డౌన్ షార్ట్ బ్రీఫ్లీ ఫర్ 2 minutes. సో 3-4 sites లో మీరు ఐడెంటిఫై చేసి విత్ ఇన్ 4 months లోపల ఈ ప్లేసెస్ ఐడెంటిఫై చేసి వాటిని బైఫర్కేట్ చేయాలి, 4 ప్లేసెస్కి డిస్ట్రిబ్యూట్ చేయాలి. ఒకే ప్లేస్లో చేయొద్దు, డంప్ చేయొద్దు. అండ్ ఇప్పుడు డంప్ చేసిన ప్లేస్ను అది ఇప్పుడున్న పరిస్థితులకు దానికి అక్కడ లివబుల్ సిచ్యువేషన్ క్రియేట్ చేయడం కొరకు తగినటువంటి చర్యలు తీసుకోవాలి. ఈ చర్యలు 4 months లోపల తీసుకోవాలి. ఎవ్రీ మంత్ మీ అప్డేట్స్ మాకు ఇవ్వాలి అని కూడా క్లియర్గా జడ్జిమెంట్ ఇచ్చారు. దానికి ఇంతవరకు కూడా ఇప్పటికీ ఐ థింక్ 3 years దాటింది. 17లో మేము ఫైల్ చేశాము, మిడ్ థర్డ్ క్వార్టర్ ఆఫ్ ఐ థింక్ 2017. ఇప్పటి వరకు ఏమి లేదు. ఓన్లీ ఇది కవర్ చేస్తున్నాం అనేది ఆ డంప్ యార్డ్ మీద కవర్ చేస్తున్నారు. దానివల్ల కవర్ చేయడం వల్ల కొత్త రకమైనటువంటి గ్యాసెస్ ఫామ్ అవుతున్నాయి, గ్యాసెస్ బయటకు వస్తున్నాయి. గ్యాసెస్ వల్ల కూడా అక్కడ ఉన్న వాళ్ళటువంటి వర్కర్స్ హెల్త్ కూడా దెబ్బతింటున్నది. But government is not, neither government nor the PCB or even GHMC is not bothering about responding to the judgment. ఒకసారి 2 సార్లు ఏదో మీడియాలో మేము మాట్లాడితే వాళ్ళ రిప్లై ఏమొచ్చింది అంటే, మేము ప్లేసెస్ కొరకు చూస్తున్నాము, ఎక్కడికి పోయినా కూడా ఎవరు మా దగ్గర వద్దు అని స్ట్రాంగ్గా అపోజ్ చేస్తున్నారు అని ఒక కుంటి సాక్ అంటారు కదా, చెప్తున్నారు. బట్ ఎట్ ద సేమ్ గవర్నమెంట్స్, ప్రీవియస్ గవర్నమెంట్ అండ్ దిస్ గవర్నమెంట్ could able to gather 300 urban land to hand over to the metro for building their ఏంటి అది మన మాల్స్ అవన్నీ కట్టుకోవడం కొరకు 300 acres ఆఫ్ ల్యాండ్ గ్యాదర్ చేయగలిగినారు, అక్యుములేట్ చేయగలిగినారు. అండ్ 20,000 acres దాని కొరకు బై హుక్ ఆర్ క్రుక్ మన హైదరాబాద్ ఫార్మసిటీ కొరకు వాళ్ళందరినీ బెదిరించి దాని ఇప్పటికే 6,000-7,000 acresను వాళ్ళు అక్యుములేట్ చేయగలిగారు. కానీ దీనికి మాత్రం వాళ్ళకి చేయడానికి కష్టమవుతుంది. దట్ ఈస్ ద ప్రజెంట్ సిచ్యువేషన్. అండ్ ది సేమ్ థింగ్ వీ హ్యావ్ టు స్టార్ట్ డూయింగ్ ఇన్ ద బిఫోర్ ఇట్ బికమ్ టూ మచ్. అండ్ వీ నీడ్ టు రీచ్ టు ద ఆల్ మేజర్ డిస్ట్రిక్ట్ హెడ్ క్వార్టర్స్. ద ప్రీవియస్ లాస్ట్ 9 డిస్ట్రిక్ట్ హెడ్ క్వార్టర్స్కు మనం రీచ్ కావాలి. అక్కడ ఉన్న పరిస్థితులను చక్కదిద్దాల్సిన అవసరం ఉన్నది. That's all for now.
Thank you, Indrasen Reddy garu. And I once again request all the participants for tomorrow's event campaign, please join and also bring 2 to 3 people. Maximum before 10 o'clock you will receive the message, and it is between 3 to 10 in the evening. Choose your convenient time and topic, and the campaign today is why we must vote. Hyderabadis are so lazy. मैं अब भी आतू అని పోయినోడు పాత ఎలక్షన్స్ లా ఈ కుంభకర్ణులని మనం నిద్ర లేపాల ఏమైనా కానీ. ప్లీజ్ ఐఎమ్ జస్ట్ ట్రైంగ్ టు గెట్ అట్లీస్ట్ 500 people. 2 నిమిషాలే నాయన నిద్రలే ఓటింగ్. ఇంటరామరావు సినిమా శ్రీకృష్ణ పాండవీయంలో ఉన్నది, నిద్ర లేవరా నిద్ర వదలరా అని. అది కనుక ప్లీజ్ మీతో పాటు మీరు కనీసం 3-4 తీసుకురండి. నందకిషోర్ గారు మీరు తప్పకుండా మీ కాలనీ నుంచి రావాలి. నేను రోజు రత్నగోపాల్ గారికి పంపుతున్నాను. Okay, and please subscribe the channel. I thank Dr. Narasimha Reddy for delivering a very impressive talk and informative. I thank all the participants and my good friend and supporter, Mr. Shivaprasad Reddy garu. Shivaprasad Reddy garu, your concluding remarks, please.
వన్ చిన్న ఒక ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్ అండి సుబ్బారావు గారు. రీసెంట్గా ఒక ఫ్రెండ్ యూకేలో ఉంటాడు, మాట్లాడుతుంటే ఆయన అన్నాడు అక్కడ ఈవెన్ లోకల్ పీపుల్కు ఈ చల్తా హై అనే వర్డ్ ఫేమస్ అట. ఇన్ లోకల్ పీపుల్.
అవును.
అదే వేరే ఇన్ కన్వర్జేషన్లో అక్కడ లోకల్ ఒక పేపర్లో ఆర్టికల్ వచ్చిందట, ఇట్లా ఇండియాలో చల్తా హై అనేది ఒకటి వెరీ కామన్ అయింది. చల్తా హై అనేది ఎంత సీరియస్ ఇష్యూ, చల్తా హై భయ్ అని అనుకుంటాం కదా మనం. That is a very serious issue. That we should not, consider that as a very light word. చెల్తా అనకుండా వచ్చి ఓటేసి వీ హ్యావ్ టు ఎలెక్ట్ అవర్ ఓన్ గవర్నమెంట్ టు వర్క్ ఫర్ అవర్ సెల్ఫ్.
యూకేలో కూడా సర్క్యులేట్ చేశాం, ఇవాళ సాయంత్రమే చేశాను. అది ఎంతమందికి రీచ్ అవుతుందో చూడాలా. ఐఎమ్ ఆల్సో ట్రైంగ్ టు రీచ్ అవుట్ టు ది తెలుగు అసోసియేషన్స్ ఇన్ జర్మనీ, సింగపూర్, దుబాయ్, ఆల్ అదర్ ప్లేసెస్. రండి హైదరాబాద్ వాళ్ళని నిద్ర లేపండి ఒకసారి అన్నది, వెళ్తా హై అన్నది ఇంకా చలాయించదు అని. థ్యాంక్ యూ ఇంద్రసేన్ రెడ్డి గారు. ప్లీజ్ శివప్రసాద్ గారు.
Sir.
Are you there?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, please.
And to be honest with you, this is one of the best and very simple presentations as has been happening daily. Narasimha Reddy garu, I should thank him. He has really aroused everyone from slumber. What GHMC is all about, in continuation of what our Guru Professor Purushottam Reddy garu, he spoke about 74th Amendment. Then Travata, this is nothing but making it very simple for people to understand and to vote in a proper way. So this Hyderabad Democracy Forum is such a wonderful thing to happen. We have been, the way you have planned it so meticulously, right from the day one, democracy nunchi ee roju vote varaku. So democracy, if it has to survive, we have to vote. Why should we vote? What are the elections? GHMC, urban local body elections. What they stand for and what should we expect and how should we elect our own representative or corporators or mayor. So beautifully you have knitted it, and I'm thankful that వారు నిన్న దివ్య కానీ ఇంద్రసేనారెడ్డి అన్న కానీ వారు ఏది చెప్పినా డాక్టర్ టీఎస్పీఆర్ ఛానల్ ఈరోజు సుబ్బారావు గారి పుణ్యమాని, మా గురువు గారు అయితే వారి ఆశీర్వాదం మాకు ఎప్పుడూ ఉంటుంది. వారి వల్ల వీ హ్యావ్ నాట్ గాన్ ఇన్ ఎ పాపులర్ వే టు మేక్ మనీ. హ్యాడ్ దట్ బిన్ ది కేస్, డైలీ నాకు ముగ్గురు నలుగురు కార్పొరేటర్స్ ఇదే సుబ్బారావు గారు, పురుషోత్తమ రెడ్డి గారు వస్తే దే విల్ బి వెరీ హ్యాపీ టు స్పెండ్ lakhs of rupees in the form of advertisements. But we chose the other way. ఆ రోజు స్టార్టింగ్ అయినప్పుడు కూడా we said we should sensitize people. We should sensitize even the authorities who are just acting as if they are sleeping. And when we do this, believe me, at least after this elections and before this, when people decide to come out and vote, రేపటి మ్యారథాన్ తర్వాత నేను అనుకుంటున్నాను, it will sensitize people to come out and vote. Once they vote in a proper way, in a decisive way, I feel Hyderabad will have that democracy which will come back, though in a minute way, but people will start questioning, and that is the beauty of it. So I want everyone to subscribe, to comment, to share, whatever you want, but kindly subscribe Dr. TSPR channel and also do support, and we are going to stay with this Hyderabad Democracy Forum. అట్లే సుబ్బారావు గారు అన్నగారు కూడా చెప్పినట్టు మా గురువు గారు, every district also will have, and they have been planning for other cities also, other states also. This is not going to just be limited to Hyderabad Democracy Forum. So kindly participate, understand, with due diligence, make all those electors to vote in a decisive way. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. And one quick information is, it is likely that the Citizens Advocacy Center, Chicago, which functions on democracy awareness, his chairman may be speaking tomorrow around 8 o'clock. So
Wonderful.
I'm just taking his confirmation. And thank you so much and good night. And please keep subscribing the channel. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.